Let's try to create a map for our adventure from scratch. Let's say our map should represent two islands separated by a strait. Let's start by creating the sea. In the drop-down list, select Rectangle, stretch it across the entire map, and choose a water texture from the library. Now, let's create the first island. In the drop-down list, select Rectangle, adjust the size for our island, and choose a grass texture from the library. Now, let's create the second island. The steps are exactly the same, except the second island will be located south of the northern one. Now it's time to make our islands inhabited. Let's start by creating the Knight's Castle. In the drop-down list, select Object, adjust the size for the castle, and choose a suitable texture from the library. Now, let's create a watchtower. Similarly, we need to select Object in the drop-down list, adjust the size, and choose a suitable texture from the library for our watchtower. Now, using Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, let's create a second tower. Once the castle and towers are ready, let's create a bridge between the two islands. The steps are exactly the same. We need to add an object, adjust the size, and choose a texture. It seems that it would be better to place the towers closer to the bridge. That way, the inhabitants of the northern island will be able to spot danger sooner. Now, let's plant some trees on our northern island. As usual, we add an object, choose the appropriate size, and select the right texture for the tree. Using Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, we can create an entire forest. Now, let's move on to the southern island. First, using Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, we'll copy the watchtowers, move them to the southern island, and change their textures. Now, let's focus on the vegetation of the southern island. Unlike the northern island, here we'll add dense shrubs instead of trees. Let's place the shrubs along the entire coastline. These bushes will serve as a natural barrier for the inhabitants of the northern island if they decide to launch an attack on the inhabitants of the southern island without using the bridge. Let's assume the southern island will be inhabited by undead. Let's create the first monster, a zombie. To do this, select Unit in the drop-down list, provide a link to its image, and set the appropriate parameters for its armor class and hit points. Using the Corners tool, let's make the avatar of our zombie round. Now let's place our zombie on the bridge. Now, let's create another monster, a skeleton. The steps are the same as when creating the zombie. In the drop-down list, select Unit. Provide a link to the skeleton image and set the appropriate armor class and hit points.